Shalom, mi nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Hacktivac Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde Shalom, mi nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Hacktivac Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada de 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeach, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeach, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar cómo el área donde el Sanedrín se reunía para hacer sus juicios, y también se ha agregado un color azul en donde está el lavacro para así poder distinguir las diferentes áreas. Les agradecemos mucho a cada uno de ustedes, especialmente a la comunidad latina, por estarnos acompañando. Pueden ir a Jerusalem Temple Studies y buscar la opción tienda o store en inglés y luego buscar modelos del templo y ahí podrán obtener el suyo. Bendiciones y gracias por su apoyo. Shalom. Shalom, mi nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Active Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada, 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeaj, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeaj, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar cómo el área donde el Sanedrín se reunía para hacer sus juicios, y también se ha agregado un color azul en donde está el lavacro para así poder distinguir las diferentes áreas. Les agradecemos mucho a cada uno de ustedes, especialmente a la comunidad latina, por estarnos acompañando. Pueden ir a Jerusalem Temple Studies y buscar la opción tienda o store en inglés y luego buscar modelos del templo y ahí podrán obtener el suyo. Bendiciones y gracias por su apoyo. Shalom. nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Active Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada de 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda...
Shalom, everyone. Last night, I apologize. We had our internet go out, and it went out maybe 3:30 in the afternoon, and it actually came back on about 7 o'clock. But we had already canceled. It would take me almost half an hour to have gotten up and going, and that would have put the people on the East Coast too late. And so we opted to go ahead and do tonight. Now, before we get started, I've got several very serious prayer requests. I want to read this to you. This came in from Matt Strasser. And this came in yesterday. Matt lives in Beaumont, and he works in Nederland. And back when we lived in Nederland, he attended regularly our services. He and his wife will be here this weekend for this next week for the Seder. And but Matt works for a company that is a major investor in the Nederland area. But he said, please pray for my CFO's niece. Just found out a few hours ago this. And this is a quote that he received. This is from his CFO. And Deidre, the CFO, is en route to Texas Children's Hospital now. Her name, this is her niece. Her name is Astrid. She has a 4-centimeter mass on her 4th ventricle, causing swelling and fluid buildup. I'm headed, this is Deidre, to meet my mom in Pearland, and then we're going to Texas Children's Hospital in downtown. My sister and Astrid already arrived in the ambulance, and they are running tests to determine what is going on with the mass. From my sister, this is Deidre's sister, they are saying right now that they will have to drain the fluid on the brain so that they can do an MRI. Then they will try to take it out with surgery. If it's cancerous, then it will be followed with chemo. They're keeping us in ICU until surgery. She is in good spirits, and he said her attitude does not match what they see on the screens. This said the doctor attending her is the best in the world. Astrid's mother's name is Stephanie. Now, Astrid is spelled Astrid. Astrid is 10 years old. Okay. Debbie texted last night and asked if we could share this. I was going to share it last night. She was having her MRI when Debbie texts back, and He sent letter last night. This came from Didra about 30 minutes ago. That's the most recent. Um, what Didra sent is neuro literally just got here. They're talking to my sister now about MRI results and surgery schedule. The oncologist just came by, and neuro is taking their time to determine the best surgical route to remove the tumor ASAP. The tumor is larger than it showed originally on the CT, is the size of a large walnut. Oncology has shared with us their suspicions, but they will need to biopsy the tumor after surgery to determine next steps. Now, what we were told is that it was at her brain stem, and that they were almost positive that it was going to test with cancer. All right. Astrid has a 6-hour surgery on Wednesday to try to fully remove the walnut-sized tumor on the base of her brainstem. The oncologist and neurosurgeon feels like it is malignant, but we won't know until we get biopsy results back. We're absolutely trusting God and know that He knows the beginning and end of this story. We're praying for His will to be done and that every assignment of the enemy on her life is canceled. Pretty soon we will have most of our military in the wait, that's something else he said. She is out of surgery. This came today at 2:22. They're doing an MRI and then we'll release her to her room. They said everything went well and they got all the tumor. And so please be praying for Astrid, but Stephanie, okay? And she's a 10-year-old girl. And I know that she's got to be frightened. I know that her family's terribly frightened. Please be praying for them to have strength, and that God would come and first off, that it would not be cancerous. Secondly, that God would bring a very fast healing to her body, and that if it is cancerous, that God would remove the cancer. Okay. And I'll keep you posted week by week. Now, also be praying for Justin Hotz. Justin got sent home from the hospital remarkably. We prayed, everybody prayed, and he got sent home that evening. And we were expecting he was going to be in the hospital for days. His blood pressure is extremely high. I talked to him just a moment ago. His blood pressure is still very high, and but please be praying for him. Be praying for his father, and it's Justin Hotz, and his father is Al Hotz. Okay, now his aunt Barbara. I know Barbara really well, and my mind just went blank. Give me a second. And I want to give you her name. Give me a second. I got to go back a little bit. Well, Barbara DeCamp. Okay. I don't know why that went out of my brain. Okay. Now she's got cancer. Numbers of places. She has a blood clot in her leg, and she's come down with COVID. Okay, so please be praying for her. And I've got one more. Dana Racone. Now, I'm not going to go into any of the details with Dana, but she is at a very, very serious cross point in her life and her daughter's lives. And things, we need a miracle to happen, hopefully by tomorrow. And so please be lifting her up. Okay. All right. We're going to go into talking about the Seder tonight. And I want to show a book, and I'll have to set up my projector. Give me a second. Most of the material that I'll be sharing tonight is going to be from this particular book. And all right. Okay. Okay. Now, this is the Haggadah by Rabbi Joseph Elias. Okay. And I'm going to show you, this is my original copy of this book. And that'll give you an idea of how much I've used the book. I mean, you can see I've just worn this thing out. It's one of the best resources for information on the Seder. Okay. Now, we're going to talk, this is an Ashkenaz Haggadah, and we're going to talk about some of the differences between the Ashkenaz and the Sephardim in their Seders. Now, the words of the Haggadah are going to be the same between the Ashkenaz and the Sephardim and the Mizrahi. It makes no difference. However, some of the customs will be different, which is better. To me, that is a question that I find all the services to be beautiful and with meaning. And when we do our Seder, it's not an Ashkenaz Seder as opposed to a Sephardic Seder. It's going to be a Seder that is drawing from different things that speak meaning to us. Okay, let me get my PowerPoint up, and we're going to get into this. We're going to start actually with something from Shir HaShirim. Okay. Now, okay. Now, this is one Seder that is going to speak of two redemptions. Okay. And we're going to go below the surface. We're going to look at a lot that deals with the meanings behind the Seder and how it's divided. It's going to deal with very peculiar things to the Seder. There are several instances, like in Birkat Hamazon. There's certain things that we do during the Seder that we don't do at other times where it's an obligation. Okay, so we'll go through these things as we go. Okay, we have Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. It is traditionally read on Passover in the Jewish liturgical cycle, when it is read in many Ashkenazi communities. Read on Shabbat of Passover, during Chol HaMoed, if it falls then. In many Sephardi and Mizrahi communities, it's read every Friday night as part of the Shabbat liturgy, also associated with Passover season. Now, you notice that immediately we had a difference between the custom of the Ashkenazi is to read it during read on Passover, not necessarily during the Seder, but it's read on Passover, read on that day. But in the Sephardic and the Mizrahi communities, it's read on Friday evenings as part of the Shabbat services, the Mari. And again, both of these are associated with the Passover season. Now, the reason I put this in here is because the the message of Shir HaShirim is actually going to match the message of the Seder in Pesach. Okay, so let's go back. We'll share. We'll go to the next slide. We have about 9 slides here that deal with this. And so, all right, springtime imagery matches the season. Shir HaShirim is filled with vivid descriptions of spring, blossoms, vineyards, renewal of nature. For example, in Shir HaShirim chapter 2, verses 11 and 12, and that's going to be quoted, by the way, in this Haggadah that I was showing you. For behold, the winter is past, the flowers appear on the earth. Passover occurs in Nisan, the biblical spring month, so the imagery aligns perfectly. Rabbinic tradition, especially in Midrash and later commentators like Rashi, reads Shir HaShirim as an allegory. The beloved woman, Israel. The beloved man, God. Passover commemorates the exodus from Egypt, the birth of Israel as a nation. So Shir HaShirim expresses the love relationship that begins with redemption. Now, redemption is going to be the biggest word that we're going to use tonight. And as the title of the slide presentation, we have one Seder, but we have 2 redemptions that are brought forth. Okay, Passover is not just a physical liberation. It leads to covenant at Sinai, a formation of a divine relationship. We're talking marriage. Shir HaShirim poetically captures longing, separation, reunion. These themes mirror slavery, redemption, and distance. I'm not sure I left a word out there, divine closeness. All right. Now, actually, there was much more, much less than what I had told you, but we're going to go to the first part of telling of the Exodus. Now, I want to show you where this is in the Haggadah. Okay, so let's stop sharing here. And you can see that this is part of the introduction. Okay, so you can see telling of the Exodus. And it starts off with Pesach, Matzah, and Menorah. Okay, so here we go into the slide. This is their commentary. Okay, Pesach, Matzah, and Menorah, the practical commandments of the Seder, are the basis for the recitation of the Haggadah. Now, the word Haggadah means to tell a story. Agadah, okay, is the telling of a story. Our rabbis point out that the biblical description of matzah is bread of affliction. That's going to be in the first part of Magid, where we have this is the bread of affliction, the lechem oni, the bread of affliction, which our forefathers say. Can also be understood as the bread over many things said. Matzah and maror are in front of us, but before we partake of them, we're called upon to talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt. The very word Pesach has been interpreted as Pei-sak, okay, 2 words, and which means the mouth talks. Now, I want to show you something, and actually it would be easier. If you'll give me a moment, I'm going to grab a Haggadah. And this is the Haggadah that I'm going to use, I guess. It's the one that was closest. Okay, now I want to show you something. Okay. All right. Now bear with me. All right. Now, this is by Arthur M. Silver, tremendous Haggadah. The first part is the Haggadah, okay? But you get to the back part, and its explanation is two books in one. So this one starts over here, and here is the preface. Here is the Kadesh. Okay. Now I want you to notice on the Kadesh, we have this whole page where it's talking in the commentary. All right. But let's go back over here to the actual Kadesh. And the commentary, you basically study before the Seder comes. Okay. You study the commentary so that you can talk about each of the items as they come up. And so here we have recite the Kaddish. Okay. Okay. So Kaddish is Aramaic, recite the Kiddush. Okay. And it tells you, it gives you instructions. As soon as the stars appear, the leader dons his kittel, the matzah on the Seder plate are covered, the wine goblets are filled to the brim with a fine red wine, and the leader commences the Seder by announcing Kadesh and giving a short explanation of this rite. The leader may also recite the Hinanei Memukhan. All present stand. The Kiddush cup is lifted with both hands at least 3.5 inches above the table, and just before the start of the Kiddush is held with the right hand alone. Throughout the Seder, right-handed person raises the wine cup with the right hand, and left-handed person uses the left hand. The leader intones the Kiddush, and the company repeats it quietly after him. Then you have the words of the Kadesh. Now, I'm going to turn and go forward. I want to show you something. Here we have the Karpas. There's no blessing that we say for the Karpas. Excuse me, there is the Ha'adamah, but here are your instructions. Here's the Yakats. When you divide the middle matzah, here's the instructions. Okay, there's no text in here. You just have instructions. Now, then we come to Magid. Look at the size of the instructions. Okay, and we have that the Seder plate. Let's read this. When the leader announces Magid, that's the telling of the story. And then Haggadah and Magid are related words. Okay. I'm commenting that everyone present will now begin the recital of the main body of the Haggadah, the story of the Exodus. He uncovers the matzot, raises the Seder plate, reads aloud the Halak Ma'anya. From this point on, all present at the Seder recite the Haggadah with the leader, unless otherwise instructed, is a positive biblical commandment that each person must recite the Magid section. If one does not understand Hebrew, one should follow along in the English translation. Then we have put the Seder plate down, cover the matzot. Others remove the Seder plate from the table or move it to the end of the table. The wine goblets are filled. The leader calls on the youngest present to ask or sing the Manishtanah, the 4 questions. Now, let's go just a little bit further. Okay, so this is a section called Avadim Hayinu. If the Seder plate had been removed, it is now returned. The matzot are uncovered, and the leader and company reply. Okay, so here, all of this, these are the words of the Haggadah. It is not enough that we just read the words. We are to have these actions. These actions, we cover the matzah, we uncover the matzah, we remove the zerah, we remove the beitzah. We all pick up our cup in the right hand. We stand, we sit down, we lean to the left. We have instruction after instruction, more so than any other service in the entire year. More so than any other service. And we are to, with our mouth, tell the story, Pesach. Okay, we're to tell the story, not only of the words of the Haggadah, but why do we lean to the left? Why do we hold the cup in the right hand? Why do we cover the matzah? Why do we remove the zerah and the shank bone? Why do we do all of these various things? Why is the youngest child that is able to do the Manishtana, why is that child the one that does it? Okay, and so it is not only the words of the Haggadah, it is the instructions also. And so let's go back and this is where it really becomes fun. It becomes an adventure, an experience as we go through the Seder, because we literally, or we have words, but we have action, and those actions also require words. Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to start back here. Matzah and maror are in front of us, but before we partake of them, we're called upon to talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt. The very word, Pesach, has been interpreted as Pesach, the mouth talks, to stress the importance of putting the meaning of this event into words. Just as a mere contemplation, all the awesome event is woefully deficient. Action alone will not do. Only a combination of deeds, in other words, the actions that we do, with a clear articulation of their meaning, explanation, will lend majesty to the Seder night. If words without action are not sufficient, as we stressed, action without spelling out its meaning is not good enough either. Pesach marks our national birthday. Oh, wait, we saw that in the commentary on Shir HaShirim. It marks the national birthday. This helps explain why the Jewish people is instructed to count its months and begins its festival cycle from Nisan. Before the people came out of Egypt, before that night, they were the Hebrews. They were the sons of Israel, but they were not a nation. They become a nation. I'll be your God and you shall be my people. And so it also explains the difference between the observance of Pesach and of later crucial and miraculous happenings in Jewish history. Pesach is not only about the Exodus from Egypt, it is about the related story of God's deliverance of his people. Okay? No other day in our calendar, no other law in the Torah brings with it provisions as stringent as Pesach. Okay? So I want to stop. Had thought I might take a picture. We are more than a week out from Passover, I believe. This is Wednesday night. First Seder will be 1 week from today. Okay. One of our ladies, Karen Sandoval, and her children were over here today, helping Debbie make hundreds of matzo balls, doing all kinds of things, cleaning, getting things set up. We have last Sunday, we had all day long, we had people arriving and helping us to set up the tent outside. Our island is covered with foil, which in the next few days, all the countertops, we have a kitchen bar. It'll be covered with aluminum foil. Right now, we had kosher hot dogs that we served the Sandovals when they came, and everybody ate outside because we're in the process now. When I get finished tonight, I'm going to eat my supper. I'm going to go outside to eat. because we still the food will have hametz in it. But we have this stringent thing of the not only all the food, all the surfaces have to be protected. All of the you go to extremes in the case of hametz. We'll read, it's coming up, but a person is all through the year not supposed to be eating food while they're reading a book. Why? Because the crumbs from the food could fall in the book, and you would be with hametz in your house when Pesach got here, when Hakamatza got here. Okay, so people have this idea. They have this idea. Oh, I went to a Seder. I kept Passover. Okay, it doesn't work that way. The Seder is a major part of Passover, and originally you had Passover and Hakamatza. Today we call all of it the week of Passover. Okay, but basically it's the week without hametz. Okay, and so you do everything. The pots, the pans that are used for the seder to cook the food. They're either aluminum pans that are disposable, or they have to be cashered. Everything has to be cashered, especially all the knives. We buy brand new utensils for. We're going to have a second Seder. There'll be over 70 people here, and so we bought all new plates and things. They're not they're disposable plates, but they're the nice kind. Okay, and because you want to dress up for Passover. It's a Yom Tov. It's a holy day. I mean, it is a time that you're coming before Hashem, and so one of the things that we have is detail. Detail. You want to have detail in your observance of Passover, and so the during the year, the preparations for every other festival are insignificant compared to the preparations for Passover. Okay, so Yom Kippur, you say, oh, the holiest day of the year, but basically you abstain from eating. But you have this biblical commandment to remove the leaven from your home and not to have leaven. And this doesn't just apply to the food; it applies to the utensils that you eat with, the plates that you eat on. We used to have just our family Seder first night, and we have special Passover plates and things that we keep, and they are only used for Passover. And so it is very, very, very significant. All right. We're going to go back to the slides. One more thing, let me say. We have people that will come in and stay in a hotel. And I've actually had people say, well, I had a good breakfast this morning at the hotel. We have waffles, okay? And they haven't connected that we don't eat waffles, okay? We don't eat waffles. We don't eat biscuits. If you buy special Passover items for that, that's fine. But during the week, we abstain. And so your Seder is the kickoff point, but you have the week that follows. All right. Let's go back to our slides. All right. So, all right. Pesach represents the actual birth and creation of our people. Therefore, according to Rambam, Moses Maimonides, we derive the laws of conversion to Judaism from the events of Pesach. That's amazing, isn't it? For it was then that we became Jews. Such initiation requires that the meaning events must be made absolutely clear, and not even the slightest impurity Impurity, represented by chametz, can be tolerated. Our attention is drawn to another unique feature of the Seder. The duty to narrate about the Exodus must follow the form of question and answer whenever feasible between child and father. Now, when we do our public Seder and the home Seder, it's going to be where I ask questions on everything. I mean, I'm going to ask, why do we stand at this point? Why do we lean to the left? Why do we hold in the right hand? What is the meaning of karpas? The green vegetable that we dip in the salt water. Why do we do that? And hopefully, as people respond, and I will not go forward until I get a response. Somebody's got to respond before we go forward to other things. And generally, what we have is that numbers of people respond, and we have different things that come out, insights that make it fascinating, make it where it's like, wow, I never thought of that, and I never saw that, and it makes a very spontaneous Seder rather than the recitation of a piece of liturgy. Okay, all right. So, all right. All right, we can well understand the requirement that questions be formulated. After all, only he who is truly bothered by a question will be interested in the answer. But why within the family rather than in a public forum, and why between father and son? But there's more than this. Now, let's see. Yeah, okay, this is the same section. But there is more than this, that the Jew is charged to tell his children about the redemption is because the Exodus has a meaning for the Jewish people beyond its message to the rest of the world. That may be, and this is important, why a non-Jew is forbidden to partake of the Pesach sacrifice. Now I'm going to read it two ways here. That may be why a non-Jew is forbidden to partake of the Pesach. Okay, doesn't say that. That may be why a non-Jew is forbidden to partake of the Pesach sacrifice. The deliverance from, you see the difference. In one, it's the Korban Pesach. Today we can't. Today we are forbidden to have a Passover offering because that has to be done in the temple. That has to also not only be done in the temple, it has to be eaten within the walls of Jerusalem. And so we don't have that today because we have no temple. And so people will say, you can't eat the Passover meal, but it's the Passover korban, or the S word, the Passover sacrifice that we cannot eat. Okay. Now we're going to say this is going to be developed further, and I specifically chose to use the words of this rabbi in his commentary because people will often think that I'm saying this, that this is my belief or whatever, that this is something that I am saying, and it's not something that the Jewish people are saying as a people. Okay, so I want you to see that it is. All right. All right. The deliverance from Egypt. Yeah, the deliverance from Egypt marks our miraculous emergence as a nation linked by a special bond to God, charged by him with special duties, and blessed by him with indestructibility. Just as God created a fully formed world at the beginning of days, so he created his people, not through natural evolutionary processes in the normal manner of nations, but in defiance of all rules of nature and principles of history. That's from Maharal. Okay. Now, this is the word Pikadah. Apparently, Rambam meant to emphasize the primary importance of the spiritual redemption achieved through the Exodus. The sages say that Yosef, Joseph in Egypt, gave his brethren a sign by which to recognize the ultimate Redeemer. He would twice use the term Pikadah, or redemption. This would seem to be a poor sign because it was public knowledge that any impostor could use. Moreover, at the burning bush, Moshe was told, "This shall be the sign to you that I have sent you. When you take the people out from Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain." That's Shemot chapter 3, verse 12. And Rabbi Meir Shapiro, the Lubliner Rav, pointed out that this too could hardly be an acceptable proof of the Redeemer's identity. After all, it could only be verified after the Jews agreed to obey Moshe, and he actually led them out of Egypt. Now, give me a second. I want to read these things to you. And so I have a stone Tanakh here, Koran Tanakh, not stone Tanakh, but Koran. And I want to go to Bereshit chapter 50. This is what was mentioned, and they're going to translate it different here. Okay. So I'm in chapter 50, and it says, I'm going to start in verse 22. And Yosef dwelt in Mitzrayim, that's Egypt. He and his father's house, and Yosef lived 110 years. And Yosef saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were born on Yosef's knees. And Yosef said to his brothers, "I die, and God will surely visit you." Now, if you read the stone Tanakh, it says God will surely remember you. And that word that is used there, and let me, Pekod, Yivkod, okay? And so we're going to say it again. Okay, Pekod, Yivkod, and then let me read further in English, and bring you up out of this land to the land of which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob. And Yosef took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, "God will surely visit you." And again, we say, Pekod, Yivkod, okay? God will visit you. And as I mentioned, the concordance, in the Strong's Tanakh or Chumash, it says God will surely visit you. God will surely remember you. All right, and now I'm going to go to the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4. And I'm going to start in verse 30. And Moshe, actually 29, Moshe and Aaron went together, all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words which the Lord had spoken to Moshe, and the signs and the sight of the people, and the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord had visited, and again, it's going to be the words Pekod, Yivkod, the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshiped. And then it goes forward. Now, what's interesting here in the Haggadah is it's going to refer to redemption in that context. That's why I put this one in here. And so you shall serve God and Rabbi. Okay. All right. Now we're going to see redemption come up over and over. In reality, the Lubliner Rav, let me share. In reality, the Lubliner Rav explained Yosef hardly meant to prophesy the future Redeemer's choice of words. Instead, he referred to the promise of a twofold redemption, physical and spiritual. People frequently see the physical redemption, but they many times miss the spiritual redemption. That was what God told Moshe at the burning bush. Do not promise the Jews only physical redemption from the slave labor of Egypt. Tell them also that at Mount Sinai, they will be given the Torah to complete their spiritual redemption. All right. Now, this is in the section called the Redemption to Come. And the subtitles that you have here at the top, those are going to be different sections of the study Haggadah that we're referring to. As we finish retracing the road from the bondage to freedom, we naturally want to offer praise and homage to God for all that he did for us. We raise our cups to recite Hallel, the Hallel of the Psalms of Praise, Psalm 113 to 118. We echoing the songs of praise which the Jews sang at the Exodus. But can we really do so with all the fibers of our heart? Has the process of redemption that started at the burning bush really run its course? Very clearly, it has not. And so on Seder night, even as we rejoice with the dawn of freedom in Egypt, we look ahead to the full unfolding of the ultimate redemption. In fact, we hope and pray with all our heart that our celebration, nay, our reliving of the momentous events of the Exodus and our renewed dedication to God, who revealed himself then as the source of all freedom, will help reopen the wellspring of freedom that are meant to flow in this night, bringing about our speedy final deliverance. Now, right now, the world's at war. The United States is at war. The Pacific is on the verge of war. Russia and Ukraine are at war. The Middle East is aflame with war. Israel is in the midst of the affliction. Israel is approaching Pesach. And the story of the deliverance of the Jewish people out of Egypt flows to the greater redemption that's promised. And it's a time to be aware of this. We're going to go to break in a few minutes. I failed to mention this earlier, so I'm going to mention it now. First off, if you like what you're hearing, then please hit the like button and also the share button. On Facebook, follow us. On YouTube, if you are subscribed, you can make comments and you can ask questions. And you need to subscribe if you aren't. And then also there's a little bell up in the corner where you can click that and it'll notify you when we're live. Also, for our Spanish speaking audience on YouTube, not when it's live streaming, but a few hours after it goes back up, then you can choose the closed caption and it will give you in Spanish what is being said. Okay. And so I failed to mention that. I'll mention it again. We're going to do a few more slides because I want to leave plenty of time for your questions and your comments towards the end. I hope we have lots of good questions. I hope that all of you are going to either be hosting a Seder for your family and others, or attending a Seder if you're unable to host one. And I think that the Seder um, is one of the greatest places to really get a springboard going forward. And right now, with everything that's happening, with all the events, as you know, we are in the last days. We are in the time that everything is happening. And these are the things that, if anything's going to likely speak to you and give you insight, it's going to be what you will experience as you go through the site. All right, let's go and do a few more slides and then we'll go to break. Okay, now the redemption to come, two parts of the Seder. That was not a subtitle, but it's in the text that we'll read. To this duality of Pesach, we give expression through an unusual procedure. I love this part. We divide the Hallel into two parts. So we're going to do Psalms 113 and 114 before the meal. Then after the meal, we're going to do Psalms 115, 116, 117, and 118 after the meal. The first two Psalms, which refer directly to Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt, are recited before the meal. It is the fitting conclusion of the recounting of the Exodus. The remaining Psalms, with additional praise to God, are said after the Pesach meal as we look ahead to the future redemption to come with the taste of the Afikomen. Now, you remember, we don't have a Passover lamb, but at the very first of the Seder, we loaded a matzah tash with 3 matzah. We took the middle matzah, we broke a piece, and the larger part we wrap in linen, we hide it, and the children will look for the Afikomen during the meal, after the meal. They'll look for the Afikomen, and there's a beautiful little story that goes with that. But we eat the Afikomen and a piece of matzah. But that Afikomen has become symbolic of the Lamb. Okay? And it's the last thing we will taste that night. So with the taste of the Afikomen, symbol of liberation, in our mouths, the Seder, thus understood, falls logically into two parts. From the Kiddush to the meal, it belongs to the past. From the meal to the end, it looks to the future. The meal itself, encircled and sanctified by the two parts of Hallel, may represent our present, linking past and future. Okay, I want to stop sharing. I'm not finished talking before we go to break, but in the days of the temple, there were 3 groups that we call. So everybody, you couldn't have 50, 60, 70 people at a Seder. You would have 10 to 20. Now, you could have more as long as the others did not eat the Passover lamb. But generally, people had 10 to 20 people. And so out of that group, if you have 10 people, you're going to have 1 animal that is slaughtered. But if you have 20 people, you'll have 2 animals, because there is a requirement that we're given in Exodus that you are supposed to eat till you are full. And so you took it according to your numbers, how it's worded. That and so you take from the lamb or the goat according to your number. Okay, so the Passover meal is in the middle. Okay, And so the longer part of the Seder is actually coming up to the meal. So you start and people are hungry. And people say, why can't we eat the meal at the first? Well, once they started at 2:30 in the afternoon approximately, and it goes till dark. But the first group comes in and they let them out and they have to stay on the Temple Mount. They can't go to where they're having the Seder. The second group, they come in, they slaughter, and they are going to be on the Kel, which is a platform that circles the temple. This is the Kel. It's only 10 cubits wide. It looks little here, but it's almost 10 yards wide. And so it goes all the way around the inner courtyards. And they have to stay till the last group is finished. And the last group will stay in the Azra, the inner courtyard. Now, if they finished early by some miracle, then they have to be finished before dark. Okay, they can't do it after dark, but the people cannot leave. None of them, with their lambs and their goats, cannot leave until night has come. Then the gates of the temple are open, and everybody goes to where their Seder is going to be, and they have already skinned it. They put it on a pomegranate stick, and it is suspended in what's called a special Passover oven. And so while the people are doing the first part of the Seder, the lamb is cooking. And it's not going to be, but when the lamb comes in, it makes an appearance, okay? But it is a natural division between the first part that deals with the Exodus out of Egypt and then the greater Exodus of the Messianic redemption, the future redemption, the full redemption. Okay, we're going to stop and we're going to go to break. And while I'm setting this up, let me mention that again, the like and the share button, and the follow us on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube, and put your comments and your questions. And also, if you're watching, you don't have a comment, let us know that you're here and where you're from. Okay? All right.
Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Active Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada, 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeach, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeach, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar cómo el área donde el Sanedrín se reunía para hacer sus juicios, y también se ha agregado un color azul en donde está el lavacro para así poder distinguir las diferentes áreas. Les agradecemos mucho a cada uno de ustedes, especialmente a la comunidad latina, por estarnos acompañando. Pueden ir a Jerusalem Temple Studies y buscar la opción tienda o store en inglés y luego buscar modelos del templo y ahí podrán obtener el suyo. Bendiciones y gracias por su apoyo. Shalom.
We'll take that stuff. Just repeat. Yep. Uh, People apologize. Uh, a little button did not, uh, it came undone. Um, so I'm sorry that, you just had a blank space there. Um, okay, before we get started, let me, let me mention that, um, again, please be praying for this young girl, Astrid, a daughter of Stephanie or Bot Stephanie, that has a tumor on the spine of her spinal column and the brain stem, and they operated on it today. They removed it. She did well through the surgery. The doctors think that it's cancerous. Until the biopsy is completed, it's not going to be verified. But she's 10 years old, and she just went to the hospital yesterday, and they operated today to give you an idea of how serious this is. So please be praying for her. Okay, we need a miracle here. Um, Also, be praying for Justin Hotz, his family, his father Al, his aunt Barb DeCamp. Be praying for them. They've got everything in the world happening to them. The Justin's mother died a month ago. His sister died 9 months ago. His father has terminal cancer. His aunt has terminal cancer. Justin has cancer. I mean, it's just a nightmare and a half, and he's still having to go to work. He's trying to get a medical retirement, but the red tape is literally keeping that from happening. Um, I know that I also want to ask for Dana Raccoon. She's got a situation going on, and she needs where God opens doors that for the most part are closed right now, and that God will reverse things that have been decided, all kinds of things. So please be praying for Dana and her two girls. Um, the I know a lot of you are traveling this weekend. Let's be praying that the situation with the funding will get resolved. People will be able to travel. We'll have the protection that we need from the criminals that are out there. That it's just been a real hard time. Please be praying with the IDF forces and the American forces in the war against Iran. And so there's so much to pray for, and it's an appropriate time that we are coming to Pesach, because I believe that this is a very, very spiritual time, and the enemy is very active, and it is time that we be like the battle against Amalek when they came out to battle against the children of Israel on their journey to Mount Sinai, that her and Aaron held up the arms of Moshe, and we need to hold each other's arms up at this time. Um, Please be putting your questions, your comments in. Hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, the little bell at the top. And remember, if Spanish is your prime language and you want to hear this in Spanish, On YouTube, you can do that by hitting the closed caption, not during the live stream, but in the replay. All right. I hope I got everything covered. And let's get back to our slides. And let me see. All right. All right. This is the four cups. This is an actual section within the Rabbi Elias Haggadah. This structure of the Seder is highlighted. This is all part of the introduction, by the way. This structure of the Seder is highlighted by the arrangement of the Arba Kosot, the four cups of wine, which according to the halakha must be drawn at specific points of the evening. Two cups clearly underline the past redemption and the future deliverance as they are drunk after Magi, the narration of the Exodus, and the last part of Hallel, the praise and anticipation of the future redemption of Budaram. All right. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch. Rav Hirsch, really enjoy him, points out that the four expressions of deliverance found in Shemot correspond to the deliverance from the three stages of Egyptian bondage, announced to Abraham at the covenant between the portions, exile, slavery, and affliction, and to the final attainment of freedom as God's people. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Now, according to Shemot, that I don't think I have it in here. We're told that the exodus out of Egypt was on the same day, on that very day, the same day, and it's the word etzim for the same day. That God made the covenant between the halves with Abraham. Now, the location of the mountain, where he made that covenant is Mount Hermon. I actually have a video that was sent to me by Gila Trebich last year, a few months ago, when that Parsha came up, when we read Bereshit chapter 15. And it was IDF soldiers at the actual location. Now, that location is a traditional spot, okay? But the belief is that it was on Mount Hermon. And so we don't know the exact spot on the mountain. But the soldiers were there, and they were reading the Parsha in at the location of where God made that covenant. And he said 400 years, okay, 430 years to the day they came out. Now, the word etzim, which is used there, it says, this very day, this same day. I was looking, this is an expression that we see at critical times in the history of the Jewish people. We see it when Noah goes on the ark. We see it for the day that the Babylonians laid siege to Jerusalem. We see it at Mount Sinai. So it's rare in its use in the historical and biblical background of the Jewish holy days by Rabbi Abraham Bloch. They actually have a part, a section that's called Etzim, on the various theories of why that word is used. Rabbi Foreman had pointed out that his belief, and I would agree with him, is that it means the world changes at this point. And I would agree with that. I mean, my goodness, the magnitude of the children of Israel being delivered out of Egypt was absolutely astounding. And the Seder, the commemorative meal that we have, where we retell the story, but it's more than retelling; it's that we become actual participants, and that it is to be that we individually were in Egypt, we individually crossed the sea, we individually came to Mount Sinai, and so forth, that the world changes from this point. And so, very significant. Okay, let's go forward. You might want to read out of the historical and biblical background just go to the Passover section and find the section on itself. Now, they do not put in there about Rabbi Foreman's belief, but you can find that in his commentary on Bereshit. All right. Wrong button. All right. So now I'm going to read this once more from the top. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch points out that the four expressions of deliverance found in Shemot correspond to the deliverance from the three stages of Egyptian bondage announced to Abraham at the covenant between the portions, between the halves: exile, slavery, and affliction, and to the final attainment of freedom as God's people. But the passage in Shemot contains yet a fifth expression of deliverance: and I will bring you to the land. We do not drink a fifth cup to correspond to this expression, but in its honor, we place a filled cup called the cup of Eliyahu, the cup of Elijah, on the Seder table. The rabbis disagree whether I will bring you should be considered a fifth expression of deliverance, requiring that a fifth cup be drunk at the Seder. The question remained undecided. We put aside a cup until Eliyahu, until Elijah, who will come preparatory to the coming of Mashiach. Answers all such halakhic questions. That's from the Vilna Gaon. We are meant to understand thereby that the fifth cup belongs to the realm of the future coming of Mashiach and the ultimate redemption, when we shall finally be brought to our land, never to depart. The fifth cup points ahead to the final fulfillment of the promise of Pesach. The other two cups are not unique to Pesach. Now, this was new information to me. Now, I've read this book, I don't know, maybe 10 times over the years. And every time I read it, I see things I never saw before. And so the other two cups are not unique to Pesach. The cup of the Kiddush and that of Birkat Hamazon, the grace after the meal. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk before we go into this, but the Kiddush, we have a Kiddush that we say on Shabbat, okay? It's the Shabbat Kiddush. We also have a Kiddush that we have for a Yom Tov, okay? So we're talking about the Shlosh Reglim, the three pilgrimage festivals, which are going to be literally Hakamatza or Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Now, each of those have a standard form of the Kiddush. It changes in several words. For instance, you don't say Shavuot for Pesach, okay? You're going to have for Shavuot and Sukkot for Sukkot, and it'll have maybe another name of the festival within it, but basically it's the same Kiddush, okay? The cup, we're going to drink 4 cups. So we have the Kiddush, then we're going to have a second cup before the dinner. Then after the dinner, we're going to say, immediately following the dinner, we're going to say the Birkat HaMazon, the grace after the meal. And at the end of that, we drink a cup. Okay, and so now that cup, we you can check your Seder. It says, you can pour a glass of wine, and at the end you can drink it, but it's your choice. Except on Pesach. On Pesach, it's required. And so the first cup and the third cup are not really unique to Pesach. Okay, the second cup and the fourth cup will be. That blew me away. It was like, wow, I never saw that before. Therefore, as we go through, I want to look. I think that when we get to the Seder, it's going to build up an intensity. We're coming to the third cup, and I think that it's going to be an opportunity to see things I never saw before. All right, and that's the goal. All right, so we have the cup of Kiddush and then a Birkat HaMazon, which concludes the meal, have their counterparts throughout the year. Nevertheless, it is only on Pesach night that everyone at the table must drink a cup after Kiddush. And again, only on Pesach is the cup after Birkat HaMazon a fixed requirement. Our sages ordained a specific rule that we must drink 4 cups on Seder night as testimony of our deliverance and newly bestowed freedom. And this comes from Tehillim 1:16-13, which says, I will lift the cup of salvations, plural. Notice also it says, I will lift the cup of salvations. So it's not enough that the leader holds the cup up, says the recitation, and drinks it. Everyone drinks it. Now, they base the requirement of 4 cups on the passage in the Torah describing the 4 stages by which the Jews were delivered from bondage. Therefore, say to the children of Israel, I am Hashem, and I will take you out from beneath the burdens of Egypt, and I will save you from their servitude, and will redeem you with an outstretched arm and great judgments, and I will take you for me for a people, and I will be a God to you. Each one of those is one of our cups of the Seder. Okay, let's see. Let me find where I am. All right. Oh, by the way, that was from Shemot, or Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 and 7. Each of these expressions describes yet another joyful stage on the road to the full redemption, worthy of being celebrated with a cup of wine, which gladdens the heart of man. And that's from Tehillim, or Psalms 104:15. Pesach has barely passed when the first steps must be taken to secure wheat suitable for the next year's matzot. And by the way, these are the preparations for Pesach. It's going to be a section within the book. For the matzah shmura, okay? That is matzah that is baked specifically for Passover that does not have hametz. You go to the store. I had to go to the store today to pick up some items for Debbie. I mean, it's like almost an industrial kitchen around here right now. Everything being cooked, but in the store, they had a little very small section for kosher supplies, and I saw the across the top, it had boxes of matzah. And I glanced at them. I could see, I knew what to look for. It said, not kosher for Passover. And people go, wait, I thought all matzah was kosher for Passover. No. Kosher for Passover matzah has been regulated by how much water was able to get to the grains before it was made into flour. Okay. And so it's very, very, everything is specific. All right. So you want to make sure in getting your matzah that it is kosher for Passover. All right. All right. This specially guarded Seder matzah, which must be made from wheat, protected for the moment, is harvested in the field against any possibility of becoming hametz. The preparation of other Pesach foods also starts long before Pesach. But even the Jew who receives matzot and Pesach provisions delivered to his doorstep is concerned with the Yom Tov long in advance. He may avoid putting books near food all year long so that no hametz should get into them. Many weeks before Pesach, thorough cleaning of every nook and cranny starts. Slowly, the area where hametz is kept and eaten contracts to a few square yards. Finally, on the night before Pesach, all rooms are searched by candlelight. This is called the Bedikat Hametz, for any last vestiges of hametz. On the next morning, we burn any remaining hametz. How are we to understand these extraordinary preparations and precautions? It has been pointed out, I love this. It has been pointed out the difference between the letters hametz or hamatz. That's your leaven. Okay. So those letters are going to be het, mem, and a final zadi. Okay, or zadi. And matzah, which has the letters mem, zadi, hey. Now, if we were to reduce them, or if we rearrange the letters, they have the mem and the mem and the zadi are in both words. So it has been pointed out that the difference between the letters of hametz and matzah is the difference between the letters hey and het. A minute point. And in fact, because the slightest amount of yeast or leaven can cause food to become hametz, the most extreme caution is indicated. And if you stop and you think about it, if you look at a het and a hay side by side, they're easy to confuse. All that separates them is this little tiny gap in the hay. It's not fully connected on its third side. So you got two sides and a roof. Okay, so I call that three sides. All right. Leaven is the symbol of man's evil instinct, the Yatzer Hara. As explained before, our avoidance of any trace of hametz on Passover is a warning that on this day of our national birth, there is no room for even such slight manifestations of spiritual impurity as might be tolerated at other times. We must remember that only the minutest difference separated the Jews from the impurity of Egyptian life. And only by not tolerating even the slightest further spiritual decline could they be redeemed to become God's people. Similarly, if we are to enter into the spirit of Pesach and believe that momentous period of initiation, we too must avoid the smallest concessions of evil and imperfection. Let's talk about the wine. The wine. We also prepare sufficient wine for the 4 times that each participant has to empty his cup. Okay, so I'm going to divert from this. Make sure that your wine is kosher for Passover. Okay, and if you have grape juice, make sure that number 1, that your wine is kosher. Okay, and kosher for Passover. Okay, it's not enough to be just kosher, it's to be kosher for Passover. And Welch's grape juice is not a kosher grape juice. I know it has a K on it, but it's not considered a kosher grape juice. Okay, so you might need to look around. Now let's go back to this. And I think some of you are going to be surprised about a little bit of this. Okay, so the cups must hold revies of wine according to the Hazan Ish. This is 5.3 fluid ounces. And according to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, is 3.3 fluid ounces. So I would say you have to have at least 3.3 ounces at the minimum. However, he rules that when the Seder is on Shabbat, the first cup should hold at least 4.42 fluid ounces. Ideally, the cup should be drained completely each of the 4 times that we drink at the Seder. However, at least more than half the wine must be drunk. Now, let me stop. I've seen numbers of times people will get the 4 cups, okay? And they will take a sip of it and they put it down. Now, they might refill it to get and bring it up to the top, but at the end of the evening, they didn't drink 4 cups of wine. They took 4 sips. Oh, and even worse, they will sit there and sip the wine in between. Why do we not do that? Because these cups are milestones. The Seder is built around the 4 cups, and you just diluted it. Okay? Now, I don't drink wine. I drink grape juice. Okay. I have kosher for Debbie drinks wine. But whatever you drink, you need to drink a significant amount, at least half, because it is a moment that is being earmarked for your attention and you're to have all these questions. Why is this cup at this time? Why? What is being said? What are the messages here? And so we want to keep everything to where the Seder has the meaning that was meant by the sages. And I believe they were directed by God as to what needed to be and the order that it needs to go in. We do not change that order. Okay. All right. Let's go back to this. All right. Red wine should be used preferably, not blackberry wine. It's wine made from the grape. Okay. So remember, it's a Seder. It's a very important part. Imagine going to a wedding and people brought costumes and noisemakers and all kinds of things. They have little party caps on their head. You go, what's going on here? Okay. This is a very, very sacred time, and we want to treat it. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I think very few people have more fun at a Seder than I do. Okay. I'm not saying it's not going to be fun, but we're going to follow the guidelines of it. And that will make it come alive. All right. All right. Red wine should be used preferably. It's considered a better quality. That's from Proverbs, Mishlei 23:31. It also serves as a reminder of the blood of the Jewish children killed by Paro. All right. Now, we're going to talk briefly. I just have a few notes that I want to go over on a couple of things in the actual Seder. Everything we've been talking about is when you're going through the 4 cups, that there are 2 parts, the meal divides, the Hallel, part before, part after, the Egyptian redemption, the future redemption. Okay. But there's a couple things I want to bring out, and then we'll go to questions. This is Halat Ma'anya. Okay, I'm going to show you here on Halat Ma'anya. Halat Ma'anya is the very beginning of the very beginning of the section called Magi. Okay, so before that, you're going to have the Kadesh or the Kiddush, the Urkatz, the washing of hands, Korpas, which is the green vegetable that you eat, and Yachatz and Magi. Okay, so let me show. I want to show you this so that you kind of understand, but there's a very important message in here. And so, okay, so here you can say is Kadesh. Now look, so only this part right here, this is before, and then if it's Shabbat, you go into the sixth day. But here's the Kadesh, all right? And we're going to go over here. These are, and then we have the orkats, the washing of hands. And then we have karpas, and you see how small they are. And then we have yakats, where we break the matzah. And then look, what we start is magid. Okay, magid's the telling of the story. And in magid, it's going to give us commentary here quite a bit. But here, this is the first thing that you say in Magid. This is called Halat Ma'anya. This is the bread of affliction that our fathers ate in the land of Egypt. Whoever is hungry, let him come and eat. Whoever is in need, let him come and join in celebrating the Pesach festival. This year, we are here. Next year, may we be in the land of Israel. This year, slaves. Next year, free men. Now, I want to show you something. You see right here, I took this paragraph, okay? So I didn't give you all the commentary. I mean, just a small portion of the commentary. Now, let's go to our slide, and I want you to pay real close attention to what it's going to say here. Okay. Whoever is hungry, let him come and eat. It appears strange to invite guests at this point. I mean, you're already in there. I mean, you've been in there for a little bit. Were this an invitation? It should have been issued earlier. We should have had that before we did the Kiddush. Rather, this passage is an outgrowth of the discussion of the bread of poverty, the lechamoni, the bread of affliction. We're truly eating the bread of poverty today, for we are again in exile. As a result, we may invite anyone to join our meal because we have no Pesach sacrifice. In temple times, guests could not be invited while the Seder was in progress because the Pesach could be shared only with pre-arranged participants. Our call to guests is to emphasize that we are in exile. These words may also be addressed to the family members who starved themselves on Pesach Eve in order to have appetite at the Seder. Okay, but here, the Seder, we start off in Magi, all who are hungry, come and eat. Okay, now people will say, oh, you have to be circumcised to eat. That only applies to the lamb. Now, it means more when you say to be circumcised. It means that you are halakhically Jewish. All right. I was circumcised as a baby. Okay. I was not born Jewish. Okay. That circumcision did not make me Jewish. Okay. So I would not be eligible to have eaten the Pesach lamb based on that, my circumcision, back in the days of the temple. Okay. I had to be halakhically Jewish. And so circumcision, a brit milah, a circumcision that puts me into the covenant. Okay. And so all are welcome to come and eat. All right. All right. In a similar vein, it has been pointed out that the four cups, oh, this is the Hallel, the section on the Hallel. That's all I want to say on Halak Ma'anya. I love this on the Hallel. In a similar vein, it has been pointed out that the four cups correspond to the four letters of the divine name of Hashem. Until the coming of Mashiach and the destruction of Amalek, the forces of the extremist evil in the world. Boy, that really rang a bell because Haman was an Amalekite, and we're at war with Iran, which is Persia, right now, and all of this coming together, okay? God's name is incomplete. Let me read that again. Until the coming of Mashiach and the destruction of Amalek, the forces of the extremist evil in the world, God's name is incomplete. His glory is not fully revealed in the world. Oh, it says Yah, but it doesn't say Hashem. The Torah makes this point by using only the first two letters of God's name when it discusses the battle against Amalek in Exodus 17:16. That's where it says Yah. It's not in the book of Esther. The last two letters will complete God's name at the time of Mashiach. The two cups which correspond to them are therefore drunk in the second half of the Seder, accompanied by our prayers for this early coming. Oh, now this is from me. Okay, this isn't out of the book, but I got to thinking about the earlier slide. You remember this slide where we had right here that we have a similar spelling between Hametz matzah, Hametz 11 and matzah. The het in hametz becomes a hay in matzah. And I thought, wow, God's name completed. Abraham. Okay, so let's go forward. All right. All right, so the Shafok Hamatka. Okay, I'm going to show you that. Give me a second to turn to it. And we are very close. I think the next slide is on Netzah, which is the conclusion of the Seder. Give me a second. All right. All right. Okay, so we're beginning the section called Hallel in the Haggadah. And we're going to look in the Haggadah right here. And you see it says Hallel up here. And here is Shavok Matcha, which is pour forth your wrath upon the nations that do not recognize you, and upon the kingdoms that do not invoke your name, for they have devoured Yaakov and destroyed its habitation. Pour forth your indignation upon them, and let your burning wrath overtake them. Pursue them with anger and destroy them from beneath the heavens of Hashem. Okay, and so let's stop sharing. We're going to read the slide now. And so the Shafok Hamakha, that's the pour forth your wrath, okay, expresses this longing, and in this way also introduces the second part of Hallel. The first two chapters of Hallel, recited before the meal, dealt with the Exodus, the splitting of the sea, and the giving of the Torah. the mountains jumped. The next chapters deal with our servitude to the nations, the pangs of the messianic redemption, the war with Gog and Magog, and finally, the messianic era. In other words, when we get to this part, when we're to the second part of the Hillel, we're not talking about the Exodus out of Egypt. We're talking about the servitude to the nations. That's the Galut. The pangs of the messianic redemption, the birth pains of the Messiah, the war with Gog and Magog, and finally the messianic era, the resurrection of the dead, and the world to come. And that's written in the Talmud in Pesachim 118a. In reciting, we express our firm confidence that God will bring about these happenings, that he has not forsaken us, but protects us and will redeem us. So, Netzach. This is the closing of the Seder. I only have one little paragraph. It's 2 pages of commentary. It says, for indeed, we were not able to do the Seder as it should be done. Whoa, that's kind of startling. In other words, we're told at the end of the Seder, you didn't do it all. We can't. Why? Since we do not have a Pesach sacrifice. The author, in fact, prays that in the merit of our studying the laws of Pesach, before Pesach, or our observance of the Seder ritual on this night, we should see the temple rebuilt and be able to fulfill all the laws of Pesach next year in Jerusalem. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat and see. Wait, the wrong one, wrong button. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, Janet Baxter. Janet Meadows. Oh, Jen is one of my favorite people in all the world. I mean, I love that lady. And she had an impact on my daughter. Okay, real tremendous impact. Dot Olson from Northern California. And Dot, Brad and Cindy are going to be here for the Seder. And we'll be thinking about you, I promise. Okay, Tim Smalley, he's going to be here at the Seder from West Central Indiana. Edgar Ramos, he's going to be here at the Seder. And he's in Central Mexico right now working on a documentary on the temple. Gabriel Gallegos from the Dallas area, he's going to be here. Osvaldo Omar, and I'm not sure this is in Spanish, and my Spanish is very limited. Adriana Ramos. Adriana will be here. And of course, they're from the Austin area. Dan Solis from Plano. Dan, you should come to the Seder sometime. Mary Beth Childrick from Alabama. And let me tell you, that lady is a giant, okay? I mean, what she and her husband have done with children that no one wanted. Okay. All right. Darren Anthony Shalom from New York City. Seder changed since ancient times. I've read at some point 2 cups of wine, then 4. Some of the changes as well. That's true. There's been some changes, and a good source on that is 2 books, both by Rabbi Katz. The biblical and historical background of Jewish holy days, and the biblical and historical background of Jewish customs and ceremonies. Very good books. Last week you mentioned Kenites. Were from the tribe of Yehuda. Since it is not presented in the Bible this way, how can we be sure? All right. Kenites were from the tribe of Yehuda. Okay. The Kenites are not. Okay. They are descended from Abraham, but they're not Jewish. We had Caleb, who is a Kenite, that he obviously went through a conversion. And he's listed in the book of Chronicles as being in the tribe of Yehuda, and he actually has a chronology there, a genealogy, excuse me. But they are not the Kenites. You have Jericho is a Kenite. But later on, we have Rechab in the book of Jeremiah, the Rechabites, and they are Kenites, but they're not considered to be Jews. Okay, all right. Last week you mentioned Kenites were from the tribe of Yehuda. Since it's not presented in the Bible this way, how can we be sure? It only says they settled with Yehuda. That's true. What you're saying is correct, and maybe I misworded it, but Caleb is listed in Chronicles as being from the tribe of Yehuda, but earlier we're told he was a Kenite. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, Teresa Anderson. Shalom, everyone. Okay, Betty Brush. And Betty, we always love seeing from you. All right. Daryl Wade, Wichita, Kansas. When Yeshua said, as often as you eat this bread, do it in remembrance of me, was he referring to the afikoman or the entirety of the 3 pieces of matzah? Now, I'm going to hold off on that, Daryl. I'm doing some personal research on that, and I want to wait till I get that done. But I promise when I do get it done, I'm going to share it with people. Okay. Jim C. from West Michigan. Very glad to have you here. All right. Gail Thomas from Georgia. Gail, you should have come over for the Seder. There's a lot of people coming from Georgia. Victor Schultz, Victor Suarez, Shalom More. Very good. Jeff Fosberg from Michigan. And let me tell you, Jeff is a trooper. The guy had a stroke and he went to Israel with us. He's at meetings with us every week on research in the temple. And he is a total inspiration to anybody that is around. Okay. All right. Again from Betty Brush, Lynn Volson from Nebraska. Lynn, I'm glad you're here. Very good. Mike Fincher from Tucson, Arizona. In the summer, Arizona. In the winter, wait, I think it's the other way around. In the summer, he goes back to Montana. In the winter, he's in Montana. In the summer, in the summer, he's in Arizona. No, in the summer, he's in Montana. In the winter, he's in Arizona, pretty much, I think. D. Alberti from Baton Rouge. Thank you, Joe, for teaching on this topic. I'm working on writing a Haggadah that focuses on the end of days perspective. Tonight's topic is helpful. And D, I will get this book. It is really good. I also get the Me'am Loaz Haggadah. They're excellent, both of them. Jessica Ramos, that's Edgar's daughter, Edgar and Janet. Joe, why if Hametz represents those things, are we able to have it all year round and only abstain and work on our characters specifically during these times? It's an interesting question. Hametz does not just mean sin, okay? That it would be its primary understanding, but we're also told that you take a little leaven and you put it with flour and leaven the whole bunch, okay? And so is the kingdom of God. Well, that we specifically have the main bread for Shavuot is made from hametz. Okay, that's the shtei halekim, the 2 loaves. And so the Torah was given to Israel, but it will go out into all the world. which we're told in the Kimitzion passage. And leaven is also symbolic of that, how that it expands and goes. Okay, so there are many applications, many layers. All right, good question. All right, I think, yeah, that's all of them. Jennifer Cash and Ann, thank you from Port Neches. And Jennifer Cash, Jennifer will be here. Ann will be here for the Seder. Jennifer will be here for the Seder. And at least half these people don't live in this neighborhood. Okay, they're from all over. Nick Scarpinato came in just a little while ago, and he's here for the Seder, and he's the first to arrive. All right, shalom, everyone. And I have to announce if we're going to have a Havurah next Tuesday night or not. I'm not sure. Because it's going to be very busy, and we'll just see. But we'll put out an announcement. I want to thank y'all for being here. If you like this, please hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe there, follow us on the other button. Thank y'all so much. And may all have a tremendous Seder. And please remember our prayer request. Okay? Shalom, shalom. Okay.
Okay. About you get circumcised when you're baby and you're not sure. Let's pretend it was circumcised baby. Now,
Go back. I live in the Bible.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, is there something? Go ahead, answer.
Okay. Gabriel?
Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Active Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada de 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeach, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeach, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar cómo el área donde el Sanedrín se reunía para hacer sus juicios, y también se ha agregado un color azul en donde está el lavacro, para así poder distinguir las diferentes áreas. Les agradecemos mucho a cada uno de ustedes, especialmente a la comunidad latina, por estarnos acompañando. Pueden ir a Jerusalem Temple Studies y buscar la opción tienda o store en inglés y luego buscar modelos del templo y ahí podrán obtener el suyo. Bendiciones y gracias por su apoyo. Shalom. Mi nombre es Gabriel Gallegos. Saludos a todos aquellos seguidores de Active Ministries, en especial a nuestra comunidad latina. El día de hoy queremos compartir con ustedes uno de los artículos más impresionantes que podemos tener en nuestra tienda virtual. Te invitamos a que te quedes y a conocer más del modelo tridimensional del templo. Les presento el nuevo modelo del templo. Una de las cosas adicionales que se han agregado en esta impresión es esta base donde está de una manera inclinada, 45 grados. ¿Para qué? Para que pueda enseñarse mejor a nuestra audiencia. O si usted, al igual que a mí, le gusta ponerlo de la manera tradicional y ponerlo en una superficie plana, pues también puedo hacerlo. De esta manera usted lo puede poner en su oficina o en su lugar de estudio o en su lugar de reunión. ¿Para qué? Para que la gente pueda admirar la gran maravilla de lo que se ha podido llegar a hacer. Ahora les voy a invitar a que me sigan acompañando para mirar las siguientes adiciones que se le han agregado a este nuevo modelo. Uno de los nuevos aspectos de este nuevo modelo tridimensional son los colores que se han añadido, como el color oro, el color blanco, un café y un café un poquito más claro. Podemos mirar el color blanco en los 15 escalones que están en el atrio de las mujeres, como también en las 4 lámparas. Podemos mirar el color blanco en el misbeaj, en el altar, como también en los 2 escalones que están entre el ulam y el altar. Podemos encontrar este color blanco también en estos pequeños mikvaot o también baños de inmersión que se han añadido. También podemos apreciar en el misbeaj, el altar, se agregaron a color las 3 fogatas y en el centro podemos encontrar de color café más claro las cenizas del altar. Otro de los buenos beneficios de este modelo es de que los edificios adicionales, el techo puede ser removido. En el edificio sureste podemos mirar